Basil seedlings. When you buy them, they are beautiful. You bring them home hoping to make them grow and have an abundant harvest, but after a few days, they generally wilt, dry up, and have to be thrown away. In this video, I will reveal all the tricks to keep them from drying out. Everything you must do, and above all, what you must not do, so that you can ultimately have an abundant harvest just like this one. The most important rules are basically three. They are few but must be respected. If you do, this is the result you will get at the end of the experiment. And to show you the difference between using them or not, I bought two small pots. I will treat one pot and not the other. Go see the results at the end. I am sure you will be amazed by the difference between the treated pot and the one I did not treat. Generally, when you buy these plants, they are wrapped in a plastic film. Some believe it has a greenhouse effect, but in reality, no, it is just something used to protect the seedlings when moving them from one place to another. But when they arrive home and are no longer in danger of being broken during transport, since the film will squeeze and literally suffocate them, the first thing you must do is remove it. And at this point, many think it is enough to get a saucer, put the plant on it, water it, and wait to harvest the leaves, right? Because this is actually not a pot with one plant, but a seed bed, a small pot with many plants that will need to be separated. And here we are. I will try to show you better how the pot, or rather the seed bed, is actually composed. Every single stem here, and there are truly so many, look, is an individual plant. And consider that for these to develop in the best possible way, meaning having the necessary space, water, and light, they will have to be separated from one another. So the first rule is divide them. Dividing them is really easy. First, you just need to pull the root ball out of the pot. Simply squeeze the bottom of the pot slightly, and the entire root ball will come out effortlessly. And once taken out, look at how many roots there were in the root ball. There are truly a lot, all intertwined, and this is exactly why I say they must be separated, because otherwise the roots will all intertwine and suffocate all the seedlings above them, simply because there is no space. In order not to ruin the roots, because it is really important not to strip them of soil and not to break them, when you do this, go into the grooves that were created during sowing. It is really easy to distinguish them, and at that point, separate them very delicately with your fingers. Take the time you need, even if it takes a few extra minutes, because this is a truly important step. The more roots the seedling has, the less transplant shock it will suffer later during the process. And continue the process until all the seedlings in the seedbed are divided into many small portions, meaning little clods or individual seedlings. The second rule is to give space to the roots and seedlings, letting them grow in good soil. At this point, the seedlings can be placed either in individual pots, just like this one, or in larger pots. Assuming that, as in this case, I will plant 6 to 8 seedlings, I advise you to get a fairly large pot, at least 60 centimeters by 40 centimeters with a height of about 40 centimeters, so that the roots can spread out without problems, and the plant, the seedlings in this case, can also develop in the upper part, meaning above the soil line of the root ball. And once the pot is chosen, in order to prevent waterlogging at the bottom, which would be really dangerous for this type of plant, get some expanded clay. Something like this with a diameter of about 2 centimeters will work perfectly and create a bed of about 2 centimeters at the bottom of the pot like this. Another piece of advice that I consider truly valuable is to mix some expanded clay into the soil you choose. If you can, get clay that has a maximum diameter of 1 centimeter, so with various sizes, but not exceeding a centimeter. Then, if you can't find it, the other one will be fine too. But in my opinion, this is truly ideal, and you will need to make a mix consisting of 80% soil and 20% expanded clay. Its function will be to make the water drain better within the soil, so the roots won't stay wet even if you overwater, and at the same time, it will allow the roots themselves to breathe, thus preventing rot and helping them develop in the best possible way. Once the clay is added and the mix is prepared, all that's left is to put the soil into the pot simply by letting it fall in, and as you let it fall, perhaps shake and tap it and continue filling the pot until the soil line reaches about 5 centimeters below the rim of the pot. So more or less here, assuming you have the possibility to get it, I recommend adding to this soil which is already excellent on its own, this which is nothing more than earthworm castings. Another really useful tip I can give you, assuming you drink coffee, and it's very likely, is regarding the leftover coffee pods or grounds once the coffee is made. Do not throw these away, because if you take them and crumble them into the soil like this, which is a really simple and fast process, they will be an excellent fertilizer. I call it black gold, to make your seedlings grow better. Assuming you don't use a mocha pot, what you get from coffee machine pods is also perfectly fine, because inside the pods, you just need to open them, and this is also a really easy process. There is coffee, exactly like the one used for the mocha. Look, so you just need to take it out and crumble it. Consider that you won't need a huge amount. For a pot like the one I used in the video, 3 of the mocha grounds I showed you will be enough, or 4 or 5 of these machine pods. Unfortunately, when moving seedlings from the seedbed to the pot, there is something called transplant shock. This could ultimately compromise the harvest because if the seedlings suffer too severe a shock, they would dry up. To avoid this, there is a trick that I consider truly effective. When you go to plant the seedling, instead of having the soil line of the new pot reach this point, which was the old one from the seedbed, plant the seedling by using the stem as well, bearing the stem of the seedlings too. Consider that these, once in contact with the soil, will create new roots, thus giving more strength to the plant, which will grow faster, more vigorously, and produce more leaves. And now I will show you the difference. So normally you do this. You match the soil line of the old root ball with the new soil line, and this is the result you get. Look, the seedling tends to fall over on top of that, so it is not even stable. If instead you bury everything, reaching up to this point, the seedling will remain much more stable. Look, so with soil all around, the seedling is decidedly more stable, and moreover, all the points where the seedling now touches the soil will create roots. At this point, all that's left is to insert the gold into the pot. In order to best optimize the space you have in the pot, I recommend always positioning all the seedlings first and then slowly starting to plant them one by one. So take the individual seedlings and one by one, making holes, perhaps helping yourself with a kitchen spoon or with your hands as I prefer. Make a hole of about 20 centimeters and start inserting them all one after the other. It is a really simple and fast process. At the end of the process, this is what you get. So all that's left is to take a watering can and water everything very abundantly. The first time, don't worry, water a whole lot. The soil should be soaked. Avoid getting the leaves wet unless it is a very hot day, and the water will therefore evaporate in a very short time, about 20 minutes. Because if water were to remain on the leaves, fungi, mold, or bacteria could form, which could be really dangerous for the seedlings themselves. Third rule, probably the most important one, water. One of the main causes of death for indoor plants, actually it is probably the #1 cause that kills your plants, is incorrect watering, meaning either too much or too little. In these images, I will show you the difference between getting the watering wrong and getting it right with basil. So this is the first case where too much water has caused the root system inside the root ball to rot, even if it's not visible, and slowly the seedling has wilted and is rotting. Unfortunately, once it shows these symptoms, it will no longer be recoverable, so it must be thrown away. The same thing happens when too little water is given. The roots inside the root ball will tend to dry out, the plant will also dry up, and this one certainly cannot be recovered either. Instead, this is an example of correct watering, so a plant that is growing in an absolutely healthy and strong manner. This plant is one that really loves water a lot, but it fears waterlogging, so between one watering and the next, you must let it breathe. The soil must dry out, and only at that point can you proceed with watering your seedling abundantly again. 2 other things to pay attention to are light and temperature. If temperatures drop too low, I recommend covering the seedlings with non-woven fabric. The ideal temperatures are between 20 and 26 Celsius. As for light, avoid direct sunlight that is too strong, because if it is too strong, it will literally burn your seedlings, causing them to dry up, just like the ones I'm showing you. First results. When moving seedlings from the seedbed to a large pot, Most of the time this happens. The seedlings tend to wilt. This is not transplant shock, but unfortunately it is a stress that the plant undergoes. But do not worry, because if everything goes correctly, they will recover within a very few days. In fact, after only 20 days, this is the result. Not only have they recovered, but they are already growing in an absolutely perfect manner. They are about 20 cm tall and are in excellent health. Final results. After about 30 days, filming everything again, this is what has been achieved. Plants that are growing in an absolutely perfect manner, some of which are even 30 centimeters tall, with leaves that have developed absolutely perfectly. They have leaves that are truly gigantic. Unfortunately, I cannot let you smell the aroma through the video, but I can show you how large, perfect, and healthy they are. I assure you that a result like this is truly incredible. And now I will show you the second pot. It was bought on the same day in the same store, but we did not take the seedlings out of the pot, which is a seed bed, despite having given it the same light, the same water, and in short, treating it the same way, except for separating it. The results are these: seedlings that have drooped and are definitely suffering, so unfortunately, there will be no harvest from here. So this is exactly the proof, huh? That taking them out of here and treating them as I showed you in the video will truly give enormous benefits to your basil harvest. Try to replicate it, because I am sure that instead of having this, if you get this, you will be really happy you did it. If this guide has changed the way you grow basil and take care of your greenery, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. We are bringing to light the secrets of nature that many try to ignore. Cultivate your future. The next botanical treasure will be revealed very soon.